Hi everybody, so we're at chapter 18 of Children of Blood and Bone. So we're from Zelly's perspective, and we just had that moment on chapter 17 where we ended, and we realized that she's now in Chandoble, and they thought they were being poisoned, and they wake up, and they're being released from here, and we're going to discover everything about the Centauros and Chandoble. Water drips down the carved walls as we travel deep into the heart of the mountain, accompanied by the rhythmic thud of our guide's staff. Golden candles line the jagged stone, illuminating the darkness with their soft blaze. As my feet pass over the cool rock, I stare at the man. Still unable to believe a Centauro stands before my very eyes. Before the raid, only the leaders of the 10 Magi clans ever got to meet them in this life. Mama Agbot will fall out of her seat when I tell her about this. I nudge Amari aside to step closer to the Centauro, inspecting the marks inked onto the man's neck. They ripple along his skin with every step, dancing with the shadows of the flame. They are called Senbaria, the man answers, somehow sensing my gaze. The language of the gods, as old as time itself. So that's what it looks like. I lean forward to study the symbols that would one day become the spoken language of Yoruba, giving us the tongue to cast our magic. They're beautiful, I respond. The man nods. The things Sky Mother creates always are. Amari opens her mouth but shuts it quickly, as if thinking better of it. Something bristles inside me as she walks, gaping at things that only the most powerful Magi in history have a right to see. She clears her throat and appears to dig deep, finding her voice once again. Pardon me, she asks, but do you have a name? The Centauro turns around and wrinkles his nose. Everyone has a name, child. Oh, I didn't mean... Lakin, he cuts her off. Omi Lakin. The syllables tickle the further corners of my brain. Omi Lakin, I repeat. My wealth is increased? Lakin turns to me with a gaze so steady, I'm convinced he sees into my soul. You remember our tongue? Bits and pieces, I nod. My mother taught it to me when I was young. Your mother was a reaper. My mouth falls open in surprise. You can't identify a Magi's power on sight alone. How did you know? I ask. I can sense it, Lakin answers. Reaper blood runs thick through your veins. Can you sense magic in people who aren't Magi or diviners? The question spills out of me, Enon coming to mind. Is it possible for Poseidon to have magic in their blood? As Centauros, we do not make that distinction. Everything is possible when it comes to the gods. All that matters is Sky Mother's will. He turns, leaving me with more questions than answers. What part of Sky Mother's will involves Enon's hands wrapped around my throat? I try to push thoughts of him away as we move. It feels like we've traveled a full kilometer through the tunnels before Lincoln leads us into a dark and wide dome hollowed out into the mountain. He raises his hands with the same gravitas as before, making the air buzz with spiritual energy. I don't know how to pronounce this, so we're going to go on. He chants, the Yoruba incantation flowing from his lips like water. All at once, the flames lining the walls go out, just like Tizane's makeshift torch, but in an instant they reignite with their new life, blanketing every inch of stone with light. Oh my gods. We marvel, we marvel as we enter the dome decorated with a mural so magnificent I can hardly speak. Each meter of stone is covered in vibrant paints illustrating the 10 gods, the Magi clans, everything in between. It's so much more than the crude pictures of the gods that used to exist before the raid, the occasional hidden painting, the rare woven tapestry only brought out under the cover of darkness. Those were flickering rays of light. This mural is like staring at the face of the sun. What is this? Amari breathes, spinning to take in the sights all at once. Lincoln motions us over and I pull Amari along, steadying her when she stumbles. He presses his hand into the stone before answering. The origin of the gods. His golden eyes spark and bright energy escapes his palm, feeding into the wall. As the light travels along the paint, the art glows and the figures slowly come to life. Skies, Amari curses, gripping my wrist. Magic and light bloom as each painting's soul animates before our eyes. In the beginning, our Sky Mother created the heavens and the earth, bringing life to the vast darkness. Bright lights swirl from the palms of the elderly woman I recognize as the statue on the first floor. Her purple robes glide like silk around her regal form as the new worlds spring to life. On Earth, Sky Mother created humans, her children of blood and bone. In the heavens, she gave birth to the gods and goddesses. Each would come to embody a different fragment of her soul. Though I've heard Mama tell this story before, it's never felt as real as it does now. It transcends the realm of fables and myths into actual history. We all stare with wide open eyes and open mouths as humans and gods spring from Sky Mother at once. While the humans fall to the brown earth, the newborn deities float into the clouds above. Sky Mother loved all her children, each created in her image. To connect us all, she shared her gifts with the gods, and the first magi were born. Each deity took a part of her soul, a magic they were meant to gift to the humans below. Umoja took the tears from Sky Mother's eyes and became the goddess of the sea. A stunning, dark-skinned goddess with vibrant blue eyes drops a single tear onto the world. As it lands, it explodes, creating oceans, lakes, streams. Umoja brought water to her human siblings, teaching those who worshipped her how to control its life. Her pupils studied their sister deity with unrelenting discipline, gaining mastery over the sea. Birth of the Tiders, I remember suddenly. Above us, the painted members of the Omi clan twist the waters to their will, making them dance with masterful ease. Lakin narrates the origin of god after god, explaining each deity and their magi clan as we pass. We learn of Sango, who took the fire from Sky Mother's heart to create burners, Aieo, who took the air from Sky Mother's breath to make winders. We study 9 gods and goddesses until there's only one left. I wait for Lakin to start speaking, but he turns to me, expectation heavy in his gaze. Me? I step forward, palms sweating as I take his place. This is the part of the story I know best. The tale Mama told me so often, even to Zane could recite it. But when I was a child, it was only a myth, a fantasy adults could weave for our young eyes. For the first time, the tale feels real, stitched into the very fabric of my life. Unlike her sisters and brothers, Oya chose to wait until the end. I speak loudly. She didn't take from Sky Mother like her siblings. Instead, she asked Sky Mother to give. I watch as my sister deity moves with the grace of a hurricane, depicted in all her might and brilliance. The obsidian beauty kneels before her mother, red robes flowing like the wind. The sight takes my breath away. Her stance holds a power, a storm brewing beneath her black skin. For Oya's patience and wisdom, Sky Mother rewarded her with mastery over life. I continue. But when Oya shared this gift with her worshippers, the ability transformed to power over death. My heartbeat quickens as the reapers of the Iku clan display their lethal abilities, the magi I was born to become. Even as paintings, their shadows and spirits soar, commanding armies of the dead, destroying life in storms of ash. The magical displays take me back to my days in Ibadan, watching the newly elected leaders demonstrate their prowess for our Reaper clan. When Mama was elected, the black shadows of death that swirled around her were magnificent, terrifying yet stunning as they danced by her side. In that moment, I knew that as long as I lived, I would never see anything as beautiful as that. I only hoped one day I would join her. I wanted her to watch me and feel even half as proud. I'm sorry. My throat closes up. Lakin seems to understand me at once. With a nod, he steps forward, continuing the tale. Oya was the first to realize that not all her children could handle such great power. She became selective, like her mother, sharing her ability with only those who showed patience and wisdom. Her siblings followed suit, and soon the magi population dwindled. In this new era, all magi were graced with coiled white hair, an homage to Sky Mother's image. I tuck back my straight locks, my cheeks growing hot. Even if I pass for wise, there can't be a god above who thinks I'm patient. Lakin's gaze turns to the last set of drawings on the heavenly mural, where men and women inked with white symbols kneel and worship. To protect the god's will on this earth, Sky Mother created my people, the Centauros, led by Mamolawao, and I apologize for any mispronunciations here, I'm trying. We act as the spiritual guardians tasked with connecting Sky Mother's spirit to the Magi below. He pauses as the painting of a woman rises above the Centauros with an ivory dagger in one hand and a glowing stone in the other. Though she's dressed in leather robes like her brothers and sisters, an ornate diadem rests on the Mamalawo's head. What is she holding? I ask. The bone dagger, Lakin answers, removing it from his robes. A sacred relic carved from the skeleton of the first Centauro. The dagger seems to bathe in a light blue glow, emitting an energy that chills like ice. The same Sinbaria inked onto Lakin's arms shine bright against its handle. Whoever wields it draws strength from the life force of all those who have wielded it before. In her right hand, the Mamalawo holds the Sunstone, a living fragment of Sky Mother's soul. By holding Sky Mother's spirit, the stone tethers her to this world, keeping magic alive. Every century, our Mamalawo carried the stone, the dagger, and the scroll to a sacred temple to perform the binding ritual. By drawing her blood with the dagger and using the power imbued into the stone, the Mamalawo sealed the spiritual connection of the gods into the Centauro's blood. As long as our bloodline survived, magic did too. As the Mamalawo in the mural chants, her words dance across the wall in painted symbols. The ivory dagger drips with her blood. The glow of the sunstone encompasses the entire mural in its light. Then what's happened? Tizane stares at the mural with dead eyes, rigid in his stance. She didn't perform the ritual? That's why magic died? Though he says magic, I hear mama in his voice. This is what left her defenseless. This is how the king took her away. The spark vanishes from Lakin's eyes, and the paintings lose their animated life. In an instant, the magic of the mural dies. No more than ordinary dry paint. The massacre of the Magi, the raid as your people call it, was not a chance event. Before I went away on pilgrimage, your king entered Chandomble's temples, claiming false worship. In truth, Saren was searching for a weapon against the gods. Lakin turns so we can't see his face, only the symbols inked onto his arms. They seem to shrink as he slumps in the candlelight, withering with his heartache. He learned of the ritual, of how magic in Orisha was anchored to the Centauro's blood. By the time I returned, Saren had slaughtered my people, severing Sky Mother's connection and ripping magic from our world. Amari clasps her hand to her mouth, silent tears streaking her rosy cheeks. I can't fathom how one man could be so cruel. I don't know what I'd do if that man was my father. Lakin turns back to us, and in that moment I realize I'll never understand his loneliness, his pain. After the raid, I still had Tizane and Baba. All he had were skeletons, corpses, and silent gods. Saren coordinated his massacres, one right after the other. As my people bled on this floor and magic disappeared, he instructed his guards to kill yours. I close my eyes, willing away the images of fire and blood the raid calls forth. Baba's cries as the guard broke his arm, Mama clawing at the black magicite chain around her neck, my screams as they dragged her away. Why didn't they do something? Tizane shouts. Why didn't they stop him? I put a hand on his shoulder, squeezing to ease his rage. I know, my brother. I know his yells mask the pain. My people are tasked with protecting human life. We are not allowed to take it away. We stand for a long moment with only Amari's sniffles to break the silence. Staring at the painted walls, I begin to realize how far others will go to keep us down. But magic's back now, right? Amari asks, wiping her eyes. Tizane hands her a ripped swatch of his cloak, but His kindness only seems to cause more tears. The scroll worked for Zeli and Mama Agba, Amari continues. It transformed my friend too. If we can bring the scroll to all the diviners in Orisha, won't that be enough? Saren broke the old connection between the Magi and the gods above when he slaughtered the Centauros. The scroll brings back magic because it has the ability to spark a new connection with the gods. But to make that connection permanent and bring magic back for good, we need to perform the sacred ritual. Lakin pulls out the scroll with reverence. I spent years searching for the 3 holy artifacts, almost all of it in vain. I managed to recover the bone dagger, but at times I worried Saren had managed to destroy the others. I don't think they can be destroyed, Amari says. My father ordered his admiral to get rid of the scroll and the sunstone, but he failed. Your father's admiral failed because the artifacts cannot be destroyed by human hands. They were given life through magic. Only magic can bring about their death. So we can do it, I press. We can still bring magic back. For the first time, Lakin smiles, hope shining behind his golden eyes. The centennial solstice is upon us, the 10th centenary of Sky Mother's gifts to mankind. It gives us one last chance to right our wrongs, one last chance to keep magic alive. How? Tizane asks. What do we have to do? Lakin unrolls the scroll, interpreting its symbols and pictures. On the centennial solstice, a sacred island appears off the northern coast of the Auridian Sea. It is home to the temple of our gods. We must take the scroll, the sunstone, and the bone dagger there, and recite the ancient incantation on the scroll. If we complete the ritual, we can create new blood anchors and restore the connection, securing magic for another 100 years. And every diviner will become a magi? Amari asks. If you complete the ritual before the solstice, every diviner who has reached the age of 13 will transform. The centennial solstice, I repeat in my head, calculating how much time we have left. Mama Agba's summer graduation always falls on the crescent moon after the annual tigerfish harvest. If the solstice is upon us, wait, Tizane exclaims. That's less than 1 moon away. What? My heart seizes. What happens if we miss it? Miss it, and Orisha will never see magic again. My stomach drops like I've been pushed off the mountain. 1 moon, or never again? But magic's already coming back, Tizane shakes his head. It came with the scroll. If we can get it to all diviners, that will not work, Lakin interrupts. The scroll does not connect you to Sky Mother. It only ignites your connection to your sister deity. Without the ritual, the magic will not last beyond the solstice. Re-establishing the Magi's connection to Sky Mother is the only way. Tizane pulls out his map, and Lakin charts a course to where the sacred temple will appear. I pray the location is within reach, but Tizane's eyes bulge in alarm. Wait, Amari says as she raises her hands. We have the scroll and the bone dagger, but where is the sunstone? She eyes her robes expectantly, but no glowing stone comes forth. I've been tracking the stone from Wari since it first washed ashore. I was following a lead on it in Abeji when my spirit called me back here. I have to assume it was so I could meet you. So you don't have it? I ask. Lakin shakes his head, and Tizane nearly explodes. Then how are we supposed to do this? Travel alone will take a full moon. The answer becomes as stark as the paintings on the wall. The diviners will never become magi. Saren will always be in control. Can't you help us? Amari asks. I can aid you, Lakin nods, but I have limits. Only a woman can become our Mamalawo. I cannot perform the ritual. But you have to do it, Amari presses. You're the only Centauro left. It does not work like that, Lakin shakes his head. Centauros are not like magi. Your connection to the gods is cemented in your blood. That connection to Sky Mother is what's needed to complete the ritual. Then who can do it? Lakin looks at me, heavy in his gaze. A magi, one tethered to the gods. It takes a moment for Lakin's words to hit. When they do, I nearly laugh. If Sky Mother brought the scroll to you through a descendant of Saren's blood, her will is clear. Her will is wrong, I almost shoot back. I can't save the Magi. I can barely save myself. Lakin, no. My gut clenches the way it did when Amari first grabbed me in the market. I'm not strong enough. I've never even performed an incantation. You said the scroll only connected me to Oya. I'm not connected to Sky Mother either. I can amend that. Then amend yourself. Amend it to Zane. I pushed my brother forward. Even Amari would be a better candidate than me. But Lakin grabs my hand and leads me forward, continuing through the dome. Before I can object, he cuts me off. The gods don't make mistakes. Beads of sweat gather on my forehead as we climb another set of stone steps. We pass stair after stair, ascending toward the top of the mountain. With each step, my mind twists and tumbles, reminding me of all the ways this can fail. Maybe if we already had the Sunstone. If the royal guard wasn't breathing down our necks. If Lakin would just get someone else to do the stupid ritual. My chest tightens, suffocating under the threat of failure. Baba's crooked smile returns to my mind, the hope in his eyes. As long as we don't have magic, they will never treat us with respect. We need this ritual. It's our only hope. Without it, we'll never get power. The monarchy will always treat us like maggots. We are here. At last, we reach the top of the stairs and emerge outside into the fading daylight. Lakin leads us to a glittering stone temple that rises out of the mountaintop, far above the same temple we first entered. Though a few cracked tiles mark the entrance, the site is largely untouched. Towering pillars support the structure, bending into rows of elegant arches. Wow. I breathe out, running my fingers along the carved cymbardia, marking each column. The symbols glow in the waning sunlight, seeping in through the archways. Here, Lakin gestures to the only fixture in the steeple, an obsidian tub, steaming with clear blue water. The liquid begins to bubble as he nears, though no flames dance in sight. What is this? Your awakening. When I am done, your spirit will be re-tethered to Sky Mother's. You can do that? Amari asks. Lakin nods, the ghost of a smile tickling his lips. It was my duty with my people. I trained for it all my life. He clasps his hand together, gaze soft and unfocused. Then suddenly he shifts, eyeing to Zane and Amari. You must leave. He gestures to them. I've already broken centuries of tradition by letting you come this far. I cannot allow you to observe our most sacred ritual. Like hell you can't. Zane steps in front of me, muscles flexing in challenge. I'm not leaving you alone with my sister. You should stay, Amari whispers. I have no right to see this. No. Zane extends his hands in front of Amari, stopping her before she can scurry down the stone steps. Stay. No us, no ritual. Lakin purses his lips. If you stay, you are bound to secrecy. We vow. Zane waves his hand. We won't say anything. Do not take this vow lightly, Lakin warns. The dead won't. Lakin shifts his glare to Amari. She all but melts. He only relents to grasp the rim of the obsidian tub. The water instantly boils under his touch. My throat goes dry as I approach the tub, and a new wave of steam hits my face. Oh yeah, help me. I can't even sell a fish without causing the destruction of my entire village. How am I supposed to be the only Magi's hope? If I agree to this, you must awaken others. Lakin stifles a frustrated breath. Sky Mother brought you here. Please, Lakin, you have to. I can't be the only one. Lakin clicks his tongue and ushers me toward the tub. Fine, he concedes, but I must awaken you first. I take a tentative step into the tub, sliding in slowly until water covers all but my head. My clothes float around me as the heat soothes my every limb, kissing the strain of today's climb away. Let us begin. Lakin takes my right hand and removes the bone dagger from the folds of his robe. To unlock divine power, we must sacrifice that which is most divine to us. You're using blood magic. Tzain steps toward me, body stiff with fear. Yes, Lakin says, but your sister will be safe. I will keep it under control. My heartbeat quickens, remembering Mama's withered body after she used blood magic for the first time. The boundless power ripped her muscles apart. Even with the aid of healers, it took her a full moon to regain her ability to walk. It was a risk she took to save Tzain when he nearly drowned as a child. A sacrifice that allowed him to cling to life. But in sacrificing herself, she nearly died. You'll be safe, Lakin assures me, seeming to read my thoughts. This isn't like when Magi use blood magic. Centauros have the ability to guide it. I nod, though a dull spike of fear still pricks at my throat. Forgive me, Lakin says. This may hurt. I inhale a sharp breath as he slashes through the palm of my hand, gritting my teeth against the sting as blood begins to seep out. The pain turns into shock when my blood glows with a white light. When it drips into the water, I feel something leave me. Something deeper than a simple cut. The red droplets turn the clear blue liquid white. It boils even harder as more blood falls. Now relax. Lakin's booming voice drops to a soft timbre. My eyes flutter closed. Clear your head, take deep breaths, release yourself from worldly tethers. I bite back a retort. There are too many tethers to count. The flames of Aloran lick my mind. The echoes of Bisi's screams ring in my ears. The prince's hand wraps around my throat, squeezing tighter, but as my body soaks in the heated water, the strains start to fade. Baba's safety, Enan's fury, one by one, each burden sinks. They leave me in waves until even Mama's death seems to evaporate in the steam. Good, Lakin soothes. Your spirit is being cleansed. Remember, whatever you feel, I will be here. He places one hand on my forehead and another on my sternum before he chants. A strange power whirls around my skin. The water boils with a new intensity, and my breath hitches as it takes hold. Daughter of Sky Mother, sister of Oya, bear your precious gift, release your holy magic. The air above us tingles with electric energy, stronger than before I've ever felt. It surpasses the buzz of Enan's imprinting, eclipses the surge of touching the parchment for the first time. The tips of my fingers grow warm, igniting with white light. As Lakin chants, the power travels through my veins, making them glow beneath my skin. The louder his incantation rings, the more my body reacts. The magic overwhelms every cell in my being, pulsing as Lakin submerges my head beneath the water. My skull presses against the floor of the tub, and a new kind of air catches in my throat. I finally understand Mama Agba's words. It's like breathing for the first time. Veins bulge against my skin as the magic grows, a swell about to burst. Behind my eyes, a sheet of red dances around me, crashing like waves, spinning like hurricanes. As I lose myself in their beautiful chaos, a glimpse of Oya emerges. Fire and wind dance around her like spirits, spinning like the red silks of her skirt. Her dance transfixes me, igniting everything that I never realized was entrapped inside of me. It scorches through my body like a flame, yet chills my skin like ice, flowing in uncharted waves. Lakin shouts above the water. In one final surge, the tsunami breaks free and magic flows through every inch of my being. It inks itself into each cell, staining my blood, filling my mind. In its power, I glimpse the beginning and end at once. The unbreakable connections tethering all of our lives. The red of Oya's wrath whirls around me. The silver of Sky Mother's eyes shine. Zali! I blink my eyes open to find Tzain shaking me by the shoulders. Are you okay? He asks, leaning over the edge of the tub. I nod, but I can't bring myself to speak. There are no words, only the prickling sensation left behind. Can you stand? Amari asks. I try to push myself up out of the bath, but as soon as I do, the entire world spins. Be still, Lakin instructs. Your body needs rest. Blood magic drains your life force. Rest, I repeat. Rest with time we don't have. If Lakin's lead on the location of the Sunstone is right, we need to head to Abeji to find it. I can't complete the ritual without the stone, and we're already running out of time. The solstice is only 3 quarter moons away. You must spare one night, Lakin presses, somehow sensing my urgency. Awakening magic is like adding a new sense. Your body needs time to adjust to the strain. I nod and close my eyes, slumping against the cold stone. Tomorrow you'll start. Head to Abeji, find the stone, go to the sacred island, perform the ritual. I repeat the plan again and again, letting its repetition lull me to sleep. Abeji, stone, island, ritual. With time, my mind fades into soft blackness. Seconds away from sleep, I'm almost out when Lakin seizes my shoulder and drags me to my feet. Someone's coming, Lakin shouts. Quick, we must go. Okay, so we just ended chapter 18. So we've awakened magic, and I want you to take a few minutes, summarize this chapter, take those 3 to 4 main ideas for your journal entry, answer any questions that are considering this chapter, and then get ready for chapter 19.